Higgins black waterproof ink applied with a Speedball Imperial 101 nib on, in this case, Strathmore 80-pound drawing paper. It's acid-free. We begin every drawing here at the TraegerMethod drawing the same way. Every drawing begins the exact same way. It's very consistent. Don't have to reinvent the wheel. Every drawing begins, I mean, there's setup and stuff like that. You got to get out the pen. You got to uncork the ink, you know. Oh, and don't spill the ink, by the way. Don't spill it. Don't spill your ink. Try not to. But yeah, there's like setup and all that stuff. You know, you got to pull out the pens. You got to open up the ink. You got to dip the pen into the ink. But really, the drawing begins with the first mark. I mean, that's the one. And it can be anything. You know, I like to do something like this. This is often how I approach. You know. Ooh, interesting. I like that. Ooh, not liking that so much, but not a deal breaker. Here's what I didn't like, that overflow, that cutting it off. But, you know, that's the drawing. You know, the goal when making really any piece of art or music or whatever it is to have more of the thing be what you like and what is good than what you don't like and what is bad. You know, you just want to, there's going to be parts, usually, often, that could have been, in your estimation, slightly better or a lot better, you know. But as long as the ratio skews heavily towards being what you want, then it's going to be pretty good, even with those not so great parts. People ask what the threes are about. There's always threes. I always draw 3, the letter 3, the number 3 rather. 3. I mean, it looks cool. Isn't that enough? I mean, it undeniably looks cool. See how sometimes I have to repeat a line, it doesn't quite go, and I don't freak out about it. I just try to do it over and over in the exact same stroke until one of them takes. If it's not taking, you got to dip it again. But, you know, that's one thing that is another aspect of working with these dip pen nibs. You kind of have a sense of where they're at in terms of their fill level. Now this one, the one I use, is the Imperial, Speedball Imperial Nib 101. See, it has that little pitchfork cut in there. That's what gives it its firmness, resistance, give, whatever you want to call it. It's probably a technical drawing name for it. The flexibility ratio is what I'm trying to get at. And, you know, that's really what you're working with these pens. And the other thing that that mark does, besides giving the pen its flexibility, it also lets you see where you're at with ink. You know, when that thing opens up and you can see that little shape, then, you know, this well of ink that is inside the underside of the pen, it's running out. Try and get into a little flow here. I like to leave little spaces like that open because I might want to finish a line there someday, you know, and have it be, you know, look deliberate, like I planned the line, you know. It's the break came first, then the line was suggested by the break. You see what I'm saying? Not the other way around, which you might think is the case. It's not. You leave opportunities open around the board, kind of, if you think of it as a game. You don't close every... You do sometimes, like this looks very broken, but it's kind of cool to see where the strokes are. You don't have to finish every line, that's a choice. Leave things open. So at this point I'm going, what is this? It needs the other dimension. In this case, I'm seeing the classic solution. A skirt, a ruffled skirt. One of my favorite go-to things. I love drawing it. I love everything about them. I love how they take the eye places. They define space in this, you know, disc kind of arrangement. I always want to see some kind of a place between the skirt and the body, you know, like a hat or something has a brim down there. Throw in ornamentation. Have it go over like that. Some kind of a bib, not bib, but pattern shape, you know. Like a tighter ribbon. Doesn't have to be perfectly described, it just needs to be suggestive. Lead the eye in an interesting way. Excuse me. Another thing I like to do with these is finish them to really hit home that this is a folded skirt or a ribbon of some kind. I like to keep the ink in my ink well. I use the bottle, the Higgins bottle. And I like to keep, I have a bigger bottle that is full of this waterproof ink, Higgins as well. And I will fill the Higgins bottle that I dip my pen into to just the right level of the pen, so it's not going up too far. I don't have to be all careful about dipping it, you know, like, whoops, I'm going to get it all the way up here, my fingers are going to get all inky and shit. No, you just want to pour that much into the bottle so that when you dip all the way to the bottom and you just tap the bottom, you don't stab it, you just barely touch it maybe. But you know, even if you touch the bottom, you're not going too deep. You're not going to, again, get that ink all over the place, up the holder, which is what this part is called. That's the holder. Nib holder, that's your tool. So I can dip all the way to the bottom, safely knowing it's going to come out at the right size. So I try to keep that fill line roughly at that place. That's what I'm telling you. So right now I'm at an impasse. You can always do something here. And it's fun to play with stuff like that, like continue that line up here like that. just looks cool. I don't really have any other reason to do that. Just, it rocks. There we did an interesting move. Mimicked that, so it's like, I'm picturing this as kind of a tall dome, an egghead dome, a cone head dome, if you remember the cone heads from Saturday Night Live. Cone head with skirt. That might be what I would name this. Cone head and a skirt. Conehead O'Brien. A little bib, or not bib, skirt. Going up like that. Picturing a face coming out here. Don't you see one? Can't you just see a face here? Coins coming off. You like to always stop, like you get on some jag, like these coins, and I'm going to go up there. I'll do one more. But instead of doing that, I chill, step back, look, and go, you don't want to keep a bunch of really intense line work going here. You want to let these parts have room to make sense to the eye. I don't know how else to put it. If it's all clutter, you won't see. You know, everything exists in its contrary. I mean, the space in between words is just as important as the words. If there were no space in between them, they wouldn't be words. They're made between, you know, the space makes the communication possible. It really is as important as what is said. It is part of it. And you'll find everything's like that. Okay, so what's happening up here? Well, not totally sure, but I don't need to know. When in doubt, put an A there. Put a 3 here. Draw it from any angle. It doesn't matter. You don't have to turn the page. I'm feeling like that should be extended, 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 extended. Now suddenly this has its own dimensionality. You can do that. It's a thing you have power over. This is my world. You know, when I'm drawing this, I'm very aware of the rules that apply because they are my rules. I made them. There's never one place to start a face. That's one thing I'd like to always be clear about. As I declare that, I feel like I'm proving that wrong, that you should always start with the forehead. Because this face is like feeling very challenging for me right now. I don't know where any of this is. Yeah, what is this? You know, the other thing is if something totally turns on you like that, you can abort the mission. You know, be like, okay, this isn't a face after all. It's something else. Or it's the face of something else. You know? Like this. You know, something totally unexpected. Like, what the fuck? Suddenly there's this demented clown coming into the picture. What? I'm like, yeah, that's right. And the clown has crazy ass clown hair. Again, tend not to go wrong dropping in a letter form. Doesn't usually fuck me up. Feeling an ink refill right about now. Don't, maybe not. Feeling a little tight in there, you know? It's starting to get a little dense. That's where you need, you see what I mean? There's no place to rest yet, is there? I mean, there's a little bit there. But what you really need at this point is something to just expand or define something. What would it be? Well, you could just line it out, you know. That was too rough. I wouldn't do that again. That's like not, that's a line thing I'm not crazy about. Like when you do ghost lines, but then you don't cover them so you can actually see the ghost line. But again, not a deal breaker. Rough, painful, but it doesn't, you know, honestly, when that happens, I just want to exit the picture a little sooner. That's kind of what that is. But you know, there might also be ways of just covering it up, changing it up, you know. Make everything around it so interesting that it just doesn't matter. What shape is this thing? Is it a circle anymore? I mean, a tube? You know, you're playing with lines that confirm space and lines that make you question your assumptions. All these lines question my assumptions. You know, I was picturing, oh, this is a tube like this. But then suddenly this thing comes in there and like dents it in some way. Dents it in. Don't know how I feel about that. But I accept what I just did and I go from there and I go, well, let's play with that. Let's see. Where we end up. I'm liking where we ended up. It's an elf shoe. See that? Again, go-to thing, even though it's like a new go-to thing for me. So right about here, I'm going, oh, how far is this twisting up? what is twisting up into what. You know, I like keeping things open, but yeah, that might be as far as I want to go, maybe a little more. Now I'm feeling like maybe this skirt is the face, or the visor of the face, you know, that like that. I'm pleased with where this is. I'm excited about where it might go. Feeling like something like that. You know, again, why not? That's the level of decision making. You know, like I thought about it, so yeah. E-form. I've talked about it in a few videos, but I'm definitely thinking magnifying glass. I think that would really help. Here's, right now we got to watch for ink here because, you know, you see coming in lefty. Don't want to smear what you've done. And at this point, you know, honestly, I might set it aside. I mean, there's where it is, placed in the paper. You know, come back to this in an hour. You know, it's about time to stretch and, you know, then like give it some time, rest your hand. Look at it with fresh eyes, see what it needs, see what you want to do, and knowing that it's completely dry. But I like that. I mean, this clown face, that's like, you know, it's not like a beautiful face, but it's a strange alien face. You know, it doesn't really, it looks like, it reminds me of Blade Runner, those doll warriors in the, you know, guy's house. Daryl Hannah character more than any, maybe. Like a rougher version, a less polished version of the Daryl Hannah cyborg or whatever she was. Skin job. But yeah, so that's where I stop. I'd stop right about there. And there you have it. We'll get back to it. Ooh.